What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I'm JJ Wang. He is bearded with DJ Dub. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
JJ Wang, holy moly, guacamoles. All I got to say about this week, it has been a stellar week to be a fantasy courier. There has been an explosion. I want to welcome all of our new fans. Our listenership went up 1,000%. I'm so bad at math. It's Friday evening when we're recording this for our Saturday show, but our listenership went up 1,000% with this week's episode. So we would like to welcome all of the new Courier fans to the Fantasy Courier. We hope you came back, had a good time on the first time around on episode 32. Welcome to the weekend show. We have lots going on, but before I go through all of that, how are you doing tonight, JJ Wang?
Doing pretty good. Getting a little late start. I'm usually in bed around 8 o'clock these days. The earlier the podcast starts, the better. But I'm going hard tonight. Let's see how long I can stay up here. How you doing?
Yeah, sorry to delay. We had to hit the Home Depot before we got home, and it was on the way home. And I was like, "Dag on it!" And we ended up not getting it. I had to order it from another Home
Oh,
Depot to get tomorrow. So we're recording late. JJ Wang has to stay up past his 8 o'clock bedtime. So we were getting this. He's burning the daylight oil for
yeah.
you. It's dark now, but he's burning that oil for you. But hey, we are growing this week. You can check us out on the standard social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Hit us up there. Leave some comments in YouTube. Pop us an email, thefantasycouriers@gmail.com, or hit up the website, thefantasycouriers.wixsite.com/website. Now we have some amazing growth this week. We are now on iHeartRadio. So you can look up the Fantasy Couriers on iHeartRadio. We are on Amazon Music. So if you have an Alexa, good luck. We tried talking to Alexa and she won't play it. So, but we can get it to play on the Alexa app. We are on TuneIn now. We are moving up. I put a link on our Instagram to join The Reason, which is the newest growing social media player. But the Couriers are growing, man. I'm telling you, we are showing up in this world. So hit us up anywhere you want. It all helps us out. It goes through our parent host, which is Anchor, which you heard about. And they're helping us to grow the podcast as well. But it's cool to see the Courier Nation growing. JJ Wang, what do you think? He's
Yeah, I
shaking
guess.
your head. If you're not watching the video, you should see if he's like just laughing at me, like, dude, what is happening? You just wanted to talk on the internet with me. And next thing you know, we're on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I mean, I was just when we started, I was just looking to do this podcast just for the leagues that we were in, a little, league update here, a little league update there. The next thing you know, you're all like full blown into like doing research, and here we are a couple months later, still doing it. So, I mean, kudos to you. It's pretty much been all your, it's been all your hard work so far. I don't want to say I feel bad for not doing a lot, but yeah,
It's been your game. It was your game this week. Your game on Tuesday just got everybody. They're like, man, these dudes are talking games. So we're
yeah.
gonna name everything you do with some cool name, and I'm putting it in there as we go on. I think that's what we got to do. But the DraftKings contest is out there. I posted it, and great news about JJ Wang. As you're looking here, he has promised his soon to come dance next Friday for the YouTube viewership.
I'm still deciding why people would want to see this. I mean, I've got zero ability to dance, like
That's
zero.
probably why.
There's nothing there. I got maybe like a little shoulder shrug. Got like I got these little pistols right here. I can swing around a couple of times, but it doesn't
I
get much
told you to
farther than
shoulder
that.
shrug it. That's how we dance. And you said, no, we're gonna do a little more. It's like,
I
dude,
mean,
just
I mean,
shoulder shrug it. It'll
I
count,
can't
and we're good.
just. I just don't want to see a bunch of people, just give me a little shimmy up here. There's gotta be something more there, right?
So he wants to do more for you guys. So
We'll see.
keep that. If all 115 of you, you might have to go to YouTube next week of our growth. I'm sorry, not 151. That was our giant
Right.
viewership. So to go up from that's pretty amazing. It's kept some growth. So keep it up. Hit us up though, new listeners. We'd like to hear where you're from, what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about. And JJ Wayne's going to talk about a poll question he put up later that we can enter onto our social media for you to hear. But we're gonna jump right in here. Enough about social media and podcast, because you're listening to us here. You know where you are. Let us talk about Thursday night football for about 45 seconds because it was terrible. We finally got that terrible game we thought we were going to get. I got one question for it, two questions, because one's going to hurt you more than the other. First question: is Atlanta terrible, or is the New England defense that good?
I think New England's defense is probably pretty good, I guess. But like, so they have Bill Belichick, who's always had the good defense. And we all thought Atlanta was pretty good. There, like a couple weeks back, we all thought Atlanta was pretty decent. You know, they had Kyle Pitts going, his fantasy production was up. Cordell Patterson was going, his fantasy production was up. And then that Ridley's gone. So I mean, Matt Ryan had like what less than a point last night in fantasy.
Almani's
He's
a
really
kid.
killing it. I decided to get fancy and try to start Wayne Gallman last night in the league. That turned out for one carry, -3 yards. So Atlanta, yeah, Atlanta's really bad, but New England's a lot better than I think any of us really thought they were going to be. But yeah, but I think the surprise of that is probably Mac Jones, right? Played played really well this year. Like he hasn't done anything great, nothing spectacular. But I mean, he's playing well enough. They got a good running game in that defense. He's playing well enough to, win games and maybe be that low end QB2 for us fantasy guys. I mean, you get 15 to 20 points on a consistent basis. I mean, that's valuable in fantasy a lot.
Mac Jones, man, that leads to my two comments. I think for myself personally from Thursday night is I got to eat some crow. I said Mac Jones was going to be absolute garbage, but if I could load him on a team, I'd if I could load him on a team and run him, that means that he's my number one. That means I have some really good receivers, some really good running backs because I waited so long on quarterbacks that either someone got hurt or he is my number one. So I'm eating crow, Mac Jones. I apologize to you. You're not total garbage like I thought you were. And I don't think Atlanta's going to make that run. I think the answer to the question is a little bit of both. They're dead in the water. Atlanta is terrible because really they have two guys on offense. Cordero Patterson, you're relying on a 32-year-old gadget running back receiver, and Kyle Pitts, who is a rookie, and rookies hit walls generally, and that's just statistically a normal thing. But that leads to the last question. Then we're going to leave this dumpster fire behind. Oh, the truther. What happened to Kyle Pitts?
I mean, it's pretty much everybody on that team, I guess. I like I said, I have no idea. He broke out for those couple 100 yard games. We all thought he was coming back, and then all of a sudden he just disappears. It's one of the things about football I just don't understand. Like,
Well, he got a good point made last night is that he probably got Belichick. He was in there. They got one person to throw to. Like literally, that's what's left. So what did Bill Belichick do? He probably had two or three guys. They had two or three guys on him, like kind of like what happened to Gesicki and Hawkinson, but not to the extreme extent because he's probably better than those two. But at that point, so let's get on past the terrible and into the great. Bye weeks are coming up this week. Your Denver Broncos, your Los Angeles Rams. So if you have to start Teddy, probably Judy, Fant, maybe Sutton, who's had a little bit here or there stinking. You probably have some Tim Patrick fans out there. If you're a Tim Patrick fan, give us a woot woot. The Rams, pretty much everybody that has there. The Higbee's probably probably a two tight end. I mean, one tight end because they're so terrible as tight ends. But you got Cup. You have probably getting people were wondering what would happen to OBJ. He stunk it up like we thought he would. You got Stafford going through and Henderson. So those are the guys you're missing this week. Good luck filling those holes. I'm really dreading the week 14 bye. I hopefully have nothing needed because there's a handful of teams that week that are okay plays. So this week we got two main focuses what we're talking about for our weekend show. The first is more dynasty based thinking. The trade deadline for most dynasty leagues has either gone last week, coming this week, or going next week based upon that. So we wanted to take just a couple minutes here to name a couple of guys that you might be trading. If you're in a redraft league and you're trading for these guys, there's probably a little collusion going on because in redraft league trading this late in the season, it's either a lateral trade, like I'm going to trade you a Devontae Adams for a Jamar Chase, which is close to lateral more or less, but two studs for two studs, or you're trading garbage because you need a fill in, but not a lot's going on in redraft. It's more dynasty. So we're going to do about a dynasty 5 to 10 minutes here. I'm going to name some guys for you, JJ Wang. Tell me if there are trade targets you would hit if you, and we're thinking of it two-place dynasty. Number one, you can look at it from either you are like in our main in one of our big dynasty leagues, I am a team competing, you're a team building. Would you trade away that player or would you trade for that player? Either way, you can approach them and maybe throw out something you would give for them. I mean, obviously picks, maybe throw some names or something and then of that effect. That sound good?
That's good.
Okay, so the first player, this one's actually, I told you a couple of these are near and dear to me, is I'm looking at Stefan Diggs on a team that I'm competing with in Dynasty. Would you trade for a 27, almost 28-year-old Stefan Diggs in Dynasty? If so, what value do you think he would have trading for?
Uh, so we all know I have an age bias. So usually when it gets to be about that 27, 28 range, I typically am not in the buying, not in the buying, buying players. So I put Stephon Diggs right in there in the same fold as I kind of put like DeAndre Hopkins, right? About that same. I'm not really interested in either one of them, but I feel like maybe at this point, if you're in a dynasty, would like maybe a mid first get Diggs or Hopkins. Would a mid first get Hopkins and Diggs? Either one of them,
Not
or would
really.
that be too much?
It'd be it's too little from what I'm trying
Too
to
low.
get. So I was like, holy cow. Like he on a calculator, he drafted out with basically like a, believe it or not, like a DJ Moore plus a little bit more is what he grades out on there. The thing about receivers though is your age bias is hard. Like 27 is a good year for me in receivers because that means you got that 3 year window that you're looking for. So 27, 29, like 29 and 30s when I start to get scared. So Diggs, you got like a 2 year window.
Yeah,
You have the rest of this year,
that makes
probably
sense.
2 years. And so you got to see it depends upon where your team is, knowing that dynasties don't last forever. We can't all be the Patriots. So he's one that I'd be more curious about getting. And I'm really struggling because the guy I'm trading with is asking for DJ Moore, and I'm not sure how I feel about DJ Moore because he's really been laying some duds recently.
Yeah, DJ Moore's just that guy that just can't find that next level. He's like stuck on like level 5. You know, he's like that level. He's almost there, but he's just not there. You know, he's get that glimpse where he's like a level 8, but then next week, next 2 weeks, he's like a level 3. So it always just kind of averages out to that level 5. It's never a consistent level 8. I mean, yeah, Diggs. I don't know. I'm not like I said. I don't really go after older wide receivers. So yeah, I guess DJ Moore maybe plus something because Diggs is more of a big play guy, especially in that offense.
Here's one for you. You're a team going for going on a playoff run. You've got great running backs, great receivers, great tight ends, and your quarterback kind of stinks. So you're just sort of pope piddling. So you're probably like a 4 or 5 seed. Would you trade? What would you trade for Brady?
Um,
Deep question there.
this kind of happened to me This kind of happened to me last year, and I ended up trading. The last year, I ended up. I think I ended up trading like a Damian Harris, a Michael Gallup, and like I think it was Drew Lock at the time.
Ooh.
I mean, it was. I think this is when Drew Lock was still starting. But I feel like that was an okay trade. I mean, you got some decent pieces, you know, for an aging quarterback. But I mean, it's tough with Brady. You know, you probably only pretty much got this year, next year, maybe, right? And he's not playing all that.
He made a deal with the devil. He's playing until he's 75. So I don't know. I
So,
really have no clue. He's so
so
good.
if
Like,
so, we're, so I mean, honestly, if I needed a quarterback, I'm a contender. My quarterback goes down. I'd probably give up I like a late first for Brady.
okay. And
Like around that maybe 8, 9, 10. Because I mean, a late first for a championship, and I think Brady can help me win a championship. I'd give up a first. Who cares? It's only a draft pick in a game that's not real, right? Can't take
this
it.
is what our whole podcast is based around, my friend. Everybody ignore that and continue listening past
I
this
mean,
point.
if you can't take gambles on fantasy football, I mean, when are you going to take a gamble? Like a first round pick for Brady, sure. I mean, getting a top 5 quarterback, right? You don't know where that. Plus, you don't know where that late first. You don't know who that late first is going to be. I mean, I drafted Keyshawn Vaughn late with the first last year, and we're not last year, but the year before. Look where that
Yeah.
got me.
Terrible. Yeah, my good teams have no draft picks. I just washed away all my draft picks for Jefferson. I told you earlier this week. So if I'm if I'm competing, I have no problem giving away draft picks. The problem
Yeah.
is we have a buddy in our one league who was really good, traded away all his like 2 years worth of draft picks, and then his team just fell off the earth. So he's pretty terrible now, and he's pretty much given up anything for draft picks. I mean, I literally just got. I was going to talk about Joe Mixon, but I'll just share the trade I did, which leads to like two guys I had here. We're going to talk about injured running backs and then Joe Mixon. I was a Joe Mixon truther coming into the league, and then he just pooed on the world. And now recently, this year, he looks great, and I think it's a result of a pretty good quarterback and having great receivers. So he's not like getting the 9 and 10 in the, the box is crowded, so he can get there and break some. I mean, his yardage isn't ginormously great if you look at his stats per se. He's just getting in the end zone, which is what you need in fantasy. So I'm going to ride that while it's there. So I have traded away from Mixon twice this year. And yesterday at what I believed was our trade deadline. By the way, know when your trade deadline is. The guy and I were trading. He's like, dude, the trade deadline like is tonight at 8:20 when the game starts. I'm like, oh my goodness. I was riding my exercise bike and I just got my phone real quick, like at 8:18. I was like, what do I do? Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Ended up trading away Derrick Henry and LaVisca Chenault, and I got Joe Mixon, which felt painful, but felt like, hey, if I'm gonna, this is my year. I've got to go for the gold. It really puts me over the top. And Henry, I think, has a handful of years left, but
Okay.
yeah, no, go from there, man.
Yeah, maybe I feel like maybe Henry and Mixon probably still have like the same amount of years left to
Yeah, I was almost
productive
there.
years to
Yeah,
play, right? So I
I'd
mean
put
that's
that.
kind of, and plus I mean you threw in Lavisca just a little, just a little something extra,
Well,
but
something.
like he hasn't been great, but there's potential there. I mean I like Mexican. I was in the league I'm contending in. I tried to get him from this fondue character over there and in this league, and he just wouldn't do it. My initial trade offer was CEH, who's getting ready to come back, and then
Mhm.
like a mid first for Joe Mixon. I mean, it comes out. I mean, it comes out pretty even. I thought it was an even trade, but he's along the lines of, hey man, if you get Mixon, that's going to put you over the top. So you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay a little more.
Makes sense for because you got to look at when I'm trading. I don't just look at what I get. Like I had a trade offer in one league for it's a redraft. So we're both in the playoffs basically. He was going to give me Jamar Chase, which would have helped my wide receiver core, and I was going to give him Travis Kelsey because I have Kelsey and I have Andrews. I only need one of them, and they're 1 and 2 in scoring. So I was like, dude, to get Jamar Chase, that'd be great. I went and I looked. His team is pretty good too. Like he's just had some bad luck wins. That if I give him Kelsey, he finally has a tight end and he can take Mike Evans off of his bench. If I don't trade with him, he's got to play his putts tight end and Mike Evans stays on his bench along with like one other like really good receiver he has. So it looking at trades, guys, you got to make sure that you're seeing the whole picture, not just what you get. Because sometimes you might get a great trade, but it looks good on your team, but then that team just gets so good that it loops back around to kick you in the tail later on. And it's just
Kind
two,
of,
two aspects.
kind of like what happened in our trust process league, right? When everybody just started trading all their good players to Matt, right? He built this powerhouse back
Yeah.
team and trying
Oh
to
man.
beat. I mean,
It was so good.
I'm just sitting back, just watching everybody just trade all these good players, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, the trade's cool, but you're just stacking this
I'm
dude's
guilty.
team, and then now he's got a powerhouse team. Everybody's trying to catch up to. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's
Injuries
great.
catch them though.
It's yeah, I mean, eventually catching up. It's great making trades, but you also got to look at when you're making trades, you're making somebody else maybe a little bit stronger too that you're going to have to that you're going to have to compete with. So I mean, that's another way to look at trades. You just can't
Okay,
trade.
lightning round for 45, 30 seconds here. You are a team. Let's look at the team. Like, say your team is the team that is building, and you're thinking, hey, there's a team that's contending. They have Akers and Dobbins and or Henry. So we're looking at Akers and Dobbins because they're younger. As a team that, what would you give up in a rebuilding team to get Akers and Dobbins for their comebacks next year? How high would you go,
So
basically?
if I'm rebuilding, honestly, if I'm rebuilding, I don't know if I really go after Dobbins Rakers if I'm rebuilding. I probably kind of you probably have to give up still quite a bit for him, right? Probably gonna have to get. I don't think the value for Dobbins. Yeah, it came down a little bit, but it's probably still got to give up the mid first for him. That's pretty much where you drafted him at was a mid first. Might be able to get Akers a little cheaper, but I don't think people are ready to give up on Akers yet. So I still think that's probably going to take it. That's probably going to take it later first. But
Akers cost
early,
me Antonio Gibson.
what's that?
Akers cost me Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, and So I mean, Akers is still pretty expensive. I mean, there was even talk about Akers coming back for the end of the
January.
season.
Yeah.
like like every other player in this world, it takes like 12 months to come back from Achilles, and this guy's going to come back in 6 months. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but I don't see that happening. But
If
like,
he does, I want him on my team.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd probably stay away from those guys if I was rebuilding. If I was maybe competing, I can afford to give up a little more. I might be able to try to give it Dobbs. It's just going to help my team, help my team even more.
I
I
think I'm
actually
throwing. Oh,
I actually had a trade earlier in the year where I gave up Dobbins.
yeah.
I needed a running back, and I went after Cordero Patterson. I mean, it seems like a lot, but like I said, I'm competing, and I needed help. My running backs have just been going down left and right. So I mean, I got Rondale Moore back with Patterson, but I did have to give up Dobbins. Now looking at it, it looks like it was turned out to be crap because Cordero Patterson ended up getting hurt on me.
Yeah, but yeah, I think realistically, you look at your team. If you have old receivers or a second number two quarterback in a single quarterback or number four, something like that, that's what I would start. I would just throw it out there, see what they say. They might be like, "Hey, I'll take Adam Thielen and his touchdown every other week because they need that number three or four receivers." Where I would go. So enough about dynasty. Let's get to people that are doing redraft. We have a segment here that I named for JJ Wang. You know when to hold him. So he's going to name some players. Tell us what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through this. Of course, you said earlier it's redraft at this late, so you're either kind of like a lateral trade, but I'm looking at it more as maybe trading two solid players, for one better. I know that's probably going to be hard because if you're competing, you're not really trying to give up that great player. But this first guy that I got, well, actually, I'll do two receivers here to start out with. I got Terry McLaurin, who's currently the RB 18, and then Amari Cooper, he's wide receiver 23. Neither one of them have really been what we thought. I mean, both of us thought McLaurin was going to be,
Top five.
something really, really good. I think he's only got 200, 100-yard games this year, and that came earlier in no three 100-yard games, but only one in the last five. So I mean, that team's really slowing down. So if you were to package like a Terry McLaurin to stay with somebody like with or Amari Cooper with an Antonio Gibson, maybe bump up to like get like a mid-range running back. Would that be possible?
It
I mean, I
would
don't
be
know.
probable. I mean, it depends. Like a mid-range running back, what would you say? Like Daryl Henderson? Would
So
he fall
would
mid-range?
let me see here. I was thinking maybe long. I guess Darrell Henderson would probably be right around that spot, right?
That's yeah. So I mean, I think it would depend up. You'd have what you got to look at at this point when you're looking for lateral trades. You got to find that team. Like that one guy was trading with me because he's stacked in receiver, so he can give away the receiver. So you got to look through. And what I do now is I look at the rosters. So you've got to find that guy. He can't be just a guy that has, say, he has Najee and Dow Cook, number two and number four, pretty much on a lot of rank. If you're looking at them where they are, they're in that range somewhere with numbers. So you say he has those two guys and he has no one else. He's not going to trade that guy away. But let's say he has Najee, Dow Cook, James Conner is a sneaky one in some leagues. Maybe you get some James Conner and his magic all of a sudden. That would be a one to throw in. Like you could probably get James Conner. I don't even think you have to double up James Conner for Terry McLaurin because you can't be stacked in both unless you're just stinking lucky.
Yeah, I think Connor. That just sounds gross, though, don't it?
It does, but then
Corner
look
for
at James
Connor.
Conner's
Oh,
numbers.
I agree. I mean, I agree. But like at this point, that's kind of what you're kind of having to you resort to at this point. So would like a Gibson for McLaurin for someone like a Nick Chubb, would that be too much?
It wouldn't be terrible because it would give them two things to build on. But who's going to give up Nick Chubb unless you have the three running backs? So a lot of this is going to be like that would be. It's not a terrible trade. I would consider it, and I would have to look at my other options. Like, do I need if I need a receiver? Okay, I'm going to drop down. So you're dropping down. Nick Chubb this week is looking like about the running back five this week, whereas Antonio Gibson is the running back 18. What do you have in the middle? But McLaurin's going to be higher along the way. McLaurin looks like he's hitting up at the receiver 14. So that raises you up in receiver. and you drop the running backs, I wouldn't have a problem with that because your Chubb would probably be one I'd be willing to because you're going Chubb's predicted for 14 points this week, whereas Gibson's predicted for 11. That's 3 points. Plus you get Terry McLaurin. So I would consider taking that if I was the Chubb owner.
So let's say you wanted to upgrade a wide receiver and you had McLaurin. Let's say you wanted to get a Michael Pittman. And Michael Pittman is like the eighth ranked receiver right now. Could you go like a McLaurin or a Cooper, either one of those guys, maybe like an AJ Dillon and get Pittman, or would it take like a McLaurin and then Gibson to still get a Pittman?
Tell you what, if you by chance are lucky enough that your trade deadline is next week, trade for Michael Pittman on Tuesday. They play the Bills. He's going to look like garbage. So that might help you. Yeah, I would say AJ Dillon would be a good one. AJ Dillon, because I see McLaurin and Pittman as so close because they both are with that suspect quarterback. They both like, and Pittman loses more to JT Taylor there, to Jonathan Taylor than Gibson takes from McLaurin. McLaurin's just stuck on the Washington football team, and that's just his problem at the moment. But that wouldn't be a terrible trade. I would, if like McLaurin, I would, if I was the Pittman owner, I would totally jump on McLaurin and probably get AJ Dillon, because then I might take AJ Dillon, package him over to the Aaron Jones guy and see what I can lobby out of him, because when you do a trade, people are looking. When I got Mixon, I have a dude today who threw an offer to me for P Ryan. He tried to get Waller. I was like, no. But you got to keep looking in the ways like three-way trades are the new hotness, but they just don't make sense. We got some guys in some of our leagues that just do three-way trades. It's just like they're just rotating their teams at
I mean,
times.
yeah, I'm pretty sure those guys have literally done transform. They
This
literally
is
done like 25 person trade where they've each of them has gotten rid of like 10 people. I'm
But
like,
what can we say? They're in first, second, and like seventh place. So maybe they know something we don't. And I know they
I,
listen, so they're there.
but I do know that Blaine character, he went from being projected like 215 points and then making trades, and now he's projected down to like 150.
Well, he got the injury bug. Injury bug took him down.
Oh, is that what happened to him?
Yeah, he got injuries can clobber a really good team amazingly fast, and that's what hit him as he was going down. But yeah, those three teams, they were interchanging a lot, and it was just funny watching. But two of them are still up there rolling, and that one guy, he just hit so much, just pow. Yeah.
Yeah, the injuries are unfortunate. That's why you gotta that's what trades come in are so valuable. I mean, you got these injuries, but like you said, especially when you're trying to trade for running back, it's so hard. There's only
Yeah. Oh yeah, very much.
there's
And
only a handful. So I mean, if you don't draft the running back and get lucky and them staying healthy all year, good luck, man. I mean, I think in this dynasty league that I'm in, I'm currently on my sixth running back here. I'm like, man, what do I got to do? Just
I'm starting AP in the league this week because of bye weeks and just injuries, and it's a rebuild team. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's a rebuild team that's in the playoffs, which is really odd. But on the Cooper note you mentioned earlier, I would try to, if you were listening to this on Saturday, I would send a message to the Cooper owner. I'm going to mention it later, but he's out for this week with COVID and he might miss Thursday. So if you can get Cooper, they're going to be like, I'm missing 2 games. You're like, dude, I'm thinking playoffs. If you can get Cooper on the cheap right now, I might even go look at this tonight while I'm processing the podcast. But if you can get Cooper on the cheap for a playoff run, might not be bad to have him as your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, because some owners could be like, I need these 2 wins, and I can't get them with Cooper staying at home till he tests positive. If they said he could possibly play Thursday, that means he's probably vaccinated, so he just got to get 2 negative tests. But get him on the cheap. You got see what's going on, watch the league, and that's what we'll probably talk about that more next season because we sort of missed that this year. But something to think about as we're looking through the season is maybe looking at who should I buy this week, who's a hot buy, who's a hot sell, kind of idea as we go into it. And as we grow the pod and we get smarter, we'll add that into our show. You got any more guys here to throw out?
No, yeah, one more. Mike Evans. What are you doing with Mike? Would you try to package him in a trade, or are you just gonna hold on to him? You know, he's pretty touchdown dependent.
I'm trying to get him.
You're trying to
I
get him.
think I want any part of that offense. And Tom Brady, if nothing else, Tom Brady gets better. And it looks like AB is going to be out for a while. Either he's going to be out forging vaccination cards, or he's going to be. You've heard that story?
Oh yeah, I did hear
Yeah,
that.
so he's going to be out selling. He's going to be out selling to 16-year-olds forged vaccination cards, or his ankle apparently isn't close. So Gronk's coming back, but so
For
that'll
about
but
for about 7 plays.
oh, but that'll be 3 touchdowns and 85 yards. So what can you do? So I think Evans is going to have his role. He's going to keep there, and I tried to get him in a couple places, just nothing I was really willing to give up or take to get Mike Evans. So I would go after Evans if I had Evans. I would sell him high because it's somebody who's aiming for the stars. So if I could get him for a PPR machine, I would trade Evans for Godwin. I would try to get Godwin for Evans because Godwin's has a consistent value. It's that target aspect we're talking about. The more targets, the more catches is worth a lot more than all of that stuff. So yeah, I'd do both depending on where I was.
So last one, and then we'll move on. I know. So we got Saquon Barkley, right? I know he's getting ready to come back. So his value's probably been the highest right now that has probably been in the last few weeks. I know people have been holding on to him. I'm just
Mhm.
waiting.
Sure have.
So it's would maybe if would it get to the point where you're just tired of dealing with Barkley and you're afraid that he's going to get injured, or you just don't want to deal with it and you want something more consistent? Would you be willing to trade Barkley at the last minute, maybe for a more consistent running back that you're confident in that could go the rest of the way?
That might hit that Daryl Henderson. If you want to be cute, you try to get James Conner and someone else. If you want to be really cute, like get James Conner and a receiver. I don't know if I would because I that's how I got Barkley last year. Is a guy just gave up on him because he was mad at him. So I mean, you got to play your owners too. So I would see what was there. I'd gauge it, but I think if you're doing Barkley, you're going to have to get really cute. You're not going to get Dal Cook for him.
Oh yeah.
Although if Barkley is healthy like they say he might be, after I mean this week he's going to look like garbage because it's the Buccaneers and it's his first game back. Good luck. Good luck, Saquon.
So what if you had like a Barkley and a Devonta Smith? Do you think you could get something in return for that? Maybe like a
You can go riding
higher.
on Smith. Yeah.
But I was just
I
wondering.
think it's going to look ugly on paper, but it's probably going to be more beneficial in the long run for you because you won't have to worry. So you can low down on your Prozac and up on your probably your toast after your games. That's all I got. So tell us, JJ Wang, you posted a poll the other week, and we were arguing about this before the podcast about fumbles, the value of a fumble. And what did your polls show us?
The first all, like that, I'm either way. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me if you want to, like I said, all these leagues are different. So however you want to score it. I mean, to be completely honest, somebody invites me into the league. I'm typically not the guy that actually goes and looks at how everything is scored. It's just it is what it is. I'll figure it out as I go.
You're a
So
terrible
half these,
owner.
it is what it is. I mean, if I have a complaint, I didn't look at it, so I mean, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was a little closer than I thought. So I mean, it was 54% to 46% in
Wow.
favor of that they should not be charged with the fumble, which makes sense. He said it's not really causing any harm to the team. Just fumble, you get it back. It's just like you get tackled. So that was kind of interesting. But the one response that I did get from if I got a couple, but the one that I want to bring up actually really has nothing to do with the actual topic. It's from Alex over in the Bourbon Bowl, who seems to think he has a better question. So we'll give him, show him a little love, and then we'll put out his question this week, which is, I guess the only way you can really score it is by the defense. So if you're playing your defense, should your defense get credited for a turnover, for let's say a turnover on down? So like if it's like a fumble, your defense will get points for fumbles. So should your defense get points for a turnover on downs? If you're pretty much just switching the field of play right there. What do you think about that?
That's intriguing. I'd never would thought about it. I mean, I'm imagining it's probably like a turnover. It's like 1 or 2 points. So, I mean, the thing for me is I don't think about it a lot because I'm only in a couple leagues that have defenses anymore. Because fantasy is so much how much you can accumulate versus defense just gets frustrating. And some teams are consistent, some are just a total crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get, but it'd be a good twist to add in, like maybe 2 points for turnover on down or something to that effect. I don't think it'll hurt at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I mean, it's especially with the amount of times people are going for it on fourth down this year. I feel like it's like 5, 6 times a game. Some of these teams are going for it. Probably the most I've ever seen. And like you said, some of those turnover. I mean, it's a big game changers. I mean, you're there at the what 48, 50. Some of these guys are even going for it on their own 40-yard line, going for it on
Mhm.
4th and 1. So I mean, a turnover on downs right there switches it over, and you're almost in field goal range. So I mean, honestly, I thought about it. I mean, it does make sense if you're playing defense for them to get that extra point or two for a turnover there.
Yeah, it does. Okay, I got a couple starts of the week, and then JJ Wang's gonna take us out of here. We went a little long this week, but we're just so excited to have all of you here. Hopefully, y'all are still here on Saturday, and it wasn't a bot tricking us all out. But we'll see a couple starts of the week for you. We disagree on this one, so this is totally DJ Dub. Throw in some Cam Newton, see what he can do against the Washington football team. He's not going to throw for a ton, but he could be a poor man's Lamar Jackson if you need him. My boy Tua. I'm the only fan of Tua, apparently. And people, JJ Wang thinks that what?
I think everybody hates Tua because you love Tua so much.
Yeah, they don't have a chance because he's on all my teams. So
And
Tua,
he's
I think
literally,
the
and
Jets. Come on.
he's literally on every podcast we do.
He should be
you
until he
bring
gets
him
hurt.
up. You bring him up with everyone somehow.
When he's the Houston Texans starting quarterback next year, I'll probably still talk about him. But they're playing the Jets, so it's an honest. This isn't a fanboy thing. This is truth. Anybody plays the Jets, I say start them. We mentioned that Amari Cooper is out this week with COVID, so keep an eye on Michael Gallup. Might be on your waiver wire because he's been hurt for so long, or Dalton Schultz, who's not on your waiver wire. Maybe you trade for him to get a piece, or if you got him, throw those guys in. But I think Zeke might eat a lot more too. Russell Wilson, I have this feeling. I told you before the pod that I think Russell Wilson, you don't. He's shaking his head.
No, I want him to. I want him.
He want him to, but you don't think. I think Russell Wilson is gonna go gangbusters this week after pooping the bed last week. And finally, throw some AJ Dillon in there. Quadzilla, the super quad of the year, is going to just go bonkers on the Minnesota Vikings this week, and maybe earn some more playing time. So, JJ Wang, give us any last minutes and get us out of here.
I don't have much. I mean, I feel like we got it all out there in that podcast. The mouth is a little dry and talking so much this one. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Time for me to go to sleep. And trust yourself, and as always, trust process.